Good morning, welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10, and I'm joined today by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW and young Aidan Macdonald at Aidan C. Macdonald Twitter handle. We'll be here to dissect the RB Leipzig game last night. Celtic lost 2-0 at Celtic Park to crash out of the Champions League group stages proper. We'll do all that in a second, but first of all, you can still go out with a massive hurrah. Celtic travel to the Santiago Bernabeu to play Real Madrid in their final Champions League Group F match on November 2nd. And one of you and a friend can be there at the match, courtesy of the Celtic Way and the Travel Bank Holidays. As you can see on the screen just now, we're running our best ever subscription offer. Not only is the prize 2 match tickets to the match, it's the whole trip, 2 match tickets, 2 seats in a direct return flight from Glasgow to Madrid, and 4-star accommodation in the centre of the city, and we'll even throw in a bit of spending money for you while you're over there. Now all you have to do to enter the draw for the prize is it's for subscribers only. So if you currently subscribe to the Celtic Way, you're eligible, and you should have already had an email in your inbox with a link to a forum, and you just fill that in and you're in the draw. If you're not a subscriber, then I'll direct your attention to the ticker tape running along the bottom of the screen to win the all expenses paid trip for 2 to watch Celtic take on Real Madrid. It's £6 for 6 months of full access to everything that we do on here, everything that we write on the website and also the pods. And it includes big interviews, in-depth features, tactical and data analysis from a smashing lineup of columnists and with thought-provoking opinions and pieces, all the whole shooting match, full shebang. So it's equivalent of £1 a month for half a year. And the minute you complete your subscription form, you'll also be eligible to win alongside the rest. And you will get an email with the all-important forum in your inbox. You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, Sean, Celtic exited stage left Champions League last night. 2-0 loss to RB Leipzig. Another clinical lesson in finishing, Sean. There has been high points in all of the 4 matches, but the bottom line is that Celtic are out of European Premier Club tournament.
Either they can still get to 7 points, but because it would be head-to-heads with Leipzig, and Leipzig have beat them home and away, it's impossible, basically. I think it's another missed chance. You can put that down to, I suppose, then.
Yes.
Speaking of that Madrid trip, by the way, that could end up massive now for Europa League. For Europa League qualification, that could be all to play for. Getting into that game might end up going to the Bernabeu with having to get something, which is a task, but it could be an exciting one. On last night, it's quite deflating, I suppose, is the way I would characterise it, guys. I felt, obviously wrongly, that this was going to be the night that they had their shooting boots on. It was more of the same again in that regard, I think. Don't know if you agree with that or if I'm being harsh, but I think that Ange has said it himself that that's been the story of the group stage. And I don't think there's many that would disagree with that. That's not to say that every chance has been a sitter or anything like that, but they've created chances and they have missed them. And I don't think it's been a problem creating them. It has just been a problem converting them. I think Tony's froze, Aidan. What's your take?
It was a tough night, Sean, wasn't it? I mean, seems like some of the kind of same problems that's plagued us in the previous 3 games kind of came to pass last night. Mm-hmm. Obviously, not taking your chances, and as I'm sure we'll go on to discuss, and you mentioned off air, not every single chance is, a good one, but there was still enough chances that Tony's back. There's still enough.
that was a wee bit.
There's 2 Tony Haggertys.
There's only 2 Tony Haggertys, aye.
But, there was even though maybe not everyone was a brilliant chance, there was still enough opportunities. Even after Leipzig scored, there was still a couple of good opportunities where Celtic maybe could have got a draw or even something better out of the match, which unfortunately has been the story of the campaign. So, it was a tough night overall, Sean.
Sean, I'll ask you this. The manager said it in his after-match quotes. He said he's not walking away from what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Are Celtic progressing? Are they on the right track?
I think so. I mean, there's plenty of debate in these comments as to whether that's the case or not. Off the back of last night, I think you can see the progress. I know it's not there in the results, but I think you can see it in the performances. And that's scant consolation when you're still losing at home and you're not scoring. But I would be more annoyed if they weren't creating any chances and they were getting beat by these scorelines or worse scorelines or even closer scorelines, but never really been in the games. So to me, yes, I can see the progress. Got to remember, a lot of these players, there's a certain allowance that you can make for how young they are and how little time they've spent at a club like Celtic, most of them. Last night, Tony, me and you spoke before the game, and I think it was primarily because Callum McGregor's out and the absolute massive presence that he is in terms of a leader, but also the way that Celtic play and the way that Ange Postecoglou wants them to play, how important it is to that. I think because he was out, you kind of felt as if this is a weakened Celtic team. But see, when you actually looked at it on paper, Callum McGregor and Jota are two big players, right? But the other 9 people you could conceivably say would be in your starting 11.
Yeah.
You would maybe argue the toss about Jens for Starfelt. I thought Jens had a good game last night, definitely compared to last week. You would drop one of the wingers for Jota, and you would probably have Haksabanovic out for McGregor, and the rest of the players, I think you could make a case it was the strongest team. So in that respect, it was a good enough team. But again, you come back to missed chances, and that is that. I've seen a few comments saying that's going to be the narrative, but it is the narrative to me. Do you know what I mean? You can't just spin another one just because that's what everybody's saying. Everybody's saying it for a reason.
Gordon Strachan threw a stat out, Aidan, last night, saying that Celtic have had 53 shots at goal. He said it was chances, but Sean corrected me before we came on here and said they had 53 shots at goal, so that's maybe skewed a bit. But
I think that's what I meant anyway, because
if you're having
chances are
you're having 53 shots at goal, Aidan, and you're scoring 2. It's quite easy to put your finger on where it kind of has gone wrong.
Yeah, seem to have lost our shooting boots a wee bit, which given, don't want to go back too far because also we're just talking about recent, but given how many goals Celtic were scoring at the start of the season, it is a wee bit confusing, and I'm sure it's frustrating for the managers, it is for the players. And yeah, I'm sure we'll go on to kind of talk about individual chances and moments, but it did kind of feel after some of the chances were missed early, you were starting to think that it's going to be one of those nights, and that's kind of what it turned out to be, unfortunately.
Had a comment reflecting that, what Aidan's just said, Tony. Jason Lee, I knew we were in trouble when we struggled to finish early on. Got another couple saying this Celtic team's 1.5 years into a 5-year project. Most of the players have never played at this level. We have to put this season in Europe down to experience, I'm afraid. That reminds me of, I've not actually seen him in the comments for a while, so he must be working a lot, but Rob McEwen, one of the regulars, had said that way at the end of last season, actually, just we were all getting excited about the Champions League, but he was saying, in his opinion, anything was good in the Champions League this season because it was always going to be about the second season in the Champions League for him, which I suppose reflects or reinforces what B's saying here.
Well, the manager also said that wins were hard to come by in the Champions League. You look at some of the results last night as well. With some of the
Maccabi Haifa,
and Manchester City as well. So it just shows you that nothing's a given in the Champions League. You have to earn everything, and the manager quite rightly points that out. And also, Celtic need to grow into the Champions League. This was a real kind of baptism of fire, wasn't it, Aidan, in terms of the group that they got, Real Madrid, RB Leipzig and Shakhtar, to see if you could compete. And Celtic have competed in all of those games. The learning curve is a harsh one.
Yeah, I mean, long term, regardless of what the players go on to do, whether it's here or elsewhere, this season will have benefited them in terms of getting the Champions League experience. As we know, a lot of the team hadn't been involved in the competition before. Joe Hart was obviously one that started last night. Callum McGregor had previous experience. He wasn't playing. James Forrest had a bit of previous experience, but I know he came on, but he's not really been near it overall this season. So a lot of the players making their Champions League debut and some of them making their European debut this season as well, like Matt O'Reilly, etc. So yeah, the experience will benefit them, and it's a tough pill to swallow. But maybe what the commenter's saying there's got a, maybe he is correct. That is going to be a bit of a building season, but I think it is just a wee bit frustrating that you were in all the games at points. Yeah, and so far you've only came away with 1 point out of 4. Obviously, if you'd kind of just been setting up defensively and you weren't really involved in the games at all, the kind of the results total after 4 games, I think would be more, not more I mean, still be annoyed, but I could almost understand it more. But just the fact there's been chances, there's been opportunities, and you've only came away with so far 1 point, and that's quite frustrating.
Sean, would you rather Celtic adopted a negative approach? And
no, I wouldn't. No, because
would you rather that Celtic played the way they have in this Champions League, and as Aidan said, they're 1 point out of 12, tells its own story. But I think at times Celtic fans have been entertained.
I entertained to a certain degree.
Yeah,
don't think they're away feeling particularly happy a lot of the time. But no, I would always rather see a team play attacking football. I suppose, in terms of results, if there's no difference at the end of it, then you could say, well, you would rather have a wee bit of entertainment than no entertainment whatsoever. I mean, arguably the best atmosphere I've ever experienced was a game in which Celtic barely kicked the ball, but 1-2-1, the Barcelona game.
Yeah.
But nobody's ever going to come back and say, really want to watch every bit of that again for the brilliant football on display that Celtic put on that night, that kind of thing. So it depends for me. It always depends. I think I would rather chase this dream that Ange Postecoglou's got in the hope that it does turn around results-wise as well as performance-wise. And I don't think they were all that far away. And I realise, as I said, that is scant consolation for people when the results have been basically negative. But
yeah,
I do see the progress to kind of address the tagline again. And as Patrick McLaughlin's comment says, we're not talking about batterings, talking about missed chances. And I agree with Patrick. I can also see an improvement in Celtic in that sense.
Okay, Aidan. Individual performances. Who impressed? Who didn't? I'll throw that one at you, just to put you right under the microscope there.
Cheers, Tony. I think in terms of good performers, and obviously I thought Cameron Carter-Vickers was pretty good. Big game, obviously second game in a row he's been made captain. First time that's been the case in the Champions League. It was a lot of a leadership role on his shoulders, and the fact it was only his second time being the captain. I thought in terms of in-game, defensively was pretty good. Obviously we did concede 2 goals, but he kept Nkuku quite quiet. And I also thought at times he was very calm under pressure when it came to playing the ball out from the back. Other good performers, I thought Matt O'Reilly did quite well, considering that it's maybe a role that he's not been used to. And I think that's maybe only his second game there, playing that role as well. Obviously, tackling's maybe not highlighted as and the stats may not back us up, but tackling's maybe not highlighted as a kind of stronger part of his game. But I thought he made some good interceptions at times. Last night, he maybe did give the ball away a few times as well, but a lot of players did. I would say they were my kind of 2 standouts. In fact, Joe Hart made a couple of good saves as well. I thought when he had to do his job, I thought he did quite well. So they were my 3, Tony. I would say that I thought did quite well.
Sean, I don't disagree with that. I would throw in Gents. I thought Gents played well too, and Greg Taylor as well.
Greg Taylor, Greg Taylor.
First half, Greg Taylor.
I'm going to say, Taylor I thought was Celtic's best player in the first half. Started the second half, he let himself down a couple of times, and then he kind of come back into it again. Come back in it again a few times. I will say about Maurice Gents, I think it's actually been quite overrated last night. A few people are saying it was his best ever in Celtic top and all that, which I don't think there's much to choose from yet. He's been all right, but I wouldn't say he was the. I think that's why I think Cameron Carter-Vickers was better than him last night, despite what I've seen a few people say. But that said, he was a world of a difference from last week, Maurice Gents, because as I said yesterday, I thought he was really quite poor against Leipzig last week. He wasn't last night. He had a good game. He had a good few crucial interventions. I will say at the very, very start, the first kind of Leipzig counter-attack, it was noticeable to me that he almost let himself get sucked out again and let Simican romp right through that channel. Greg Taylor had to physically, verbally tell him not to go, or he'd have got it. And then after that, I think it kind of kept him switched on, and he did, as I say, enjoy a good game. The stats for Jens are frankly nowhere near Carter-Vickers' stats for last night, but nonetheless, I do feel as if he had a good game, and that's worthy of praise. Frank Brennan's comment here, basically blocking Aidan's face here, but a wonderfully positive comment from Frank, Tony. So he says, to start with, both Carter-Vickers and Jents were absolutely immense, and yet again, Big Joe Hart gave Celtic 2 saves, one just before half-time and one early in the second half that kept us in it. I think that's worth mentioning, Tony. Joe Hart.
Yeah, I thought Joe Hart was terrific. He had a great save with the foot, and then a couple right after the interval. Couldn't do it with the goals. I mean, helpless for the goals, but he did his job when called upon, Joe Hart. So, yep, I would say that as well. He had a cracking game. And I go with Aidan as well. I thought Matt O'Reilly was terrific. I really do. I thought he was Celtic's best player. It is a position he's unaccustomed to. He smacks one off the post, and as Aidan pointed out as well, he was getting stuck in. I've never seen Matt O'Reilly tackle so much in all my life. And
I would argue that you see that all the time, just not in such a front and centre role, because it was a kind of centre mid, deeper line centre mid role. But he's always had that in his game. He shows up with stats all the time for the off ball stuff. It's
I know
just
he's
that
always had that, Sean, but I just kind of noticed it a bit more last night.
I'm sure a good amount of people would have noticed it a lot last night.
He ran about 40 yards and slid tackle that time, and then a couple of times he was dug up for ones that I thought were fair challenges. Other times
5 fouls, match high.
Yeah, I was going to say other times he did foul, but a couple of times he won the ball and was unfairly penalised. I say he's hit that one off the post, really unlucky. It was neatly guided, but again the woodwork came to the Germans' rescue. But no, I was quite pleased with Matt O'Reilly's contribution last night, to be fair.
I agree with you. I thought he did well. I noticed a good amount. I think it was Chris Sutton. One of the pundits had says, "Oh, he used to play there all the time for Fulham, or for MK Dons," which isn't really true, but it was for Fulham. But he was rarely playing for Fulham's first team. It was mostly the youth team and stuff. So when you factor that in, I'm even more impressed with how he's adapted to it. Last night in particular, I don't think he was great against St Johnstone in that role, but I think on the higher kind of platform of the Champions League against a really good midfield in Leipzig, I think he showed up well. And stats wise, it'll not surprise you. Match high in pressures, match high in interceptions, match high in tackles, and match high in fouls.
Now, Aidan, we spoke off air before we came on, and I think you stuck the tackety boots into Rio Hatate. Rio Hatate. You were a bit Rodney Marsh, i.e. harsh, on Rio Hatate with your own man-by-man ratings, which you compiled. Now, talk me through that. I agree that he was poor by Rio Hatate.
Is this your burner account, Aidan?
High bar standards.
I was calling in a few favours for that comment, I think, to that.
So, yeah, I agree. I thought Hatate, and I'll give him the benefit, was off it last night, for want of a better expression.
So, yeah, I thought he struggled, and I didn't think it was the usual. Sometimes he can be guilty of giving away the ball, but we know, as Sean's pointed out before, stats-wise, it's because he always tries to make that kind of killer key pass. It wasn't really because of that I thought he struggled last night. I thought there was a few times he was almost waiting for the ball to come to him, and as a result, the Leipzig player either got more of a chance to win the ball back or win the ball back completely. A prime example was, it was maybe a 50-50, but near the end whether it was a foul and the pass would have been straight in for the Leipzig player. I thought it just at times he was just a wee bit careless and it wasn't one of his better games, but he's been excellent this season, so I'm by no means obviously writing him off for the rest of the year. He just had a bit of a tough night like a few players did, but I thought he was one that struggled and frustrated at times.
You might be able to hear my dogs in the background. Yep. You probably can. He's going absolutely tonto.
Massively disagreeing with Aidan's assessment.
I think so. He must be a Hatate fan there.
So. Kaiser coming in. Sean, what did the stats say about the performance? They're cold, hard and show no emotion, just like Big Aidan. They say that it was not a 2-goal margin of victory game. Kaiser. No worries. I'll be doing a data roundup later, but we'll have it all in it. But certainly in terms of the XG anyway, the chances created, there was virtually nothing in it. Leipzig took theirs, Celtic didn't. I would suggest a 1-1 or a 2-2 would have been probably the accurate reflection of it. But as we say, it comes back to that narrative again for a reason.
Anyone else you want to stick the boot into, Aidan, while we've got you on the programme? I mean, yeah, the platform's yours.
I just reserve no comment on it.
Can we come to the I suppose the main chance? Would you class it as a Kyogo one, the header?
brilliant cross from Haksabanovic, who I thought started really brightly, but faded badly. But I mean, that's bang on the money. That's flush on the head, isn't it?
I think so.
People will argue that if it's Giakoumakis and the end of that, it's in the net. That's
he had a good chance as well. Speaking
of,
he
did.
Varsta looked at that.
I do think that Kyogo's got to do better. Got to work the goalkeeper at least, get it on target. I mean, it wasn't even on target. Wasn't even on target, was it? So
no, it was over. That's what I was thinking. It should have been on target. And I know that I said last week when you're looking at the stats and Kyogo's best chances are all headers, you're thinking, well, Celtic weren't playing to the best of their ability. His best chance last night was a header. I still think he's got to do better with it. There's nobody anywhere near him. No, it's on his head. The very least he's got to do is hit the target. And actually, I know statistically that wasn't the best chance of the game. Statistically, Maeda's first chance of the game was the best chance of the game for Celtic. But I think that Kyogo one is one that you want to get on target.
I also think that Maeda should do better as well.
Aye.
It's slightly behind them, but good.
He actually
adjust themselves.
He almost got there too quick. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. It was ahead of
the ball was actually. I didn't find anything wrong with the ball. It was
almost
the combination of Maeda getting there slightly too quick and the ball covering that way. But I don't actually think there was anything wrong with the ball. He just got there slightly too fast.
Yeah, I think at this level they are gilt-edged opportunities, and also Greg Taylor from the rebound from.
He shot like a proper.
Yeah, he did indeed. These are golden opportunities for me, Aidan, that should be in the net.
Yeah, and there was even other kind of opportunities. I know there was one in the first half when Greg Taylor got put in. I thought some of the pundits were a wee bit harsh, saying I think he maybe could have had a shot, but I was getting compared to like Kieran Tierney.
But it was an exact replica of that moment, and if he drills it, then he could get a deflection or anything. I really think he should have had a pop at goal myself.
Yeah, he maybe should have had a pop, and when he's kind of trying to cut it back, it doesn't really work out. But I don't know if it was quite as good an opportunity. The one I thought was that he maybe could have had a shot was in the second half when Aaron Moy got played in. Yeah, and he cut it back. Now, I can't remember what the score was at that stage. It was at least 1-0, it might even be 2-0, but I think that was the one that I felt that was a decent opportunity. And I know the guy is kind of closing them right down, but as soon as he's played in, you can see he kind of had no intention of shooting. He was always going to try and cut it back. So, yeah, those were maybe two other kind of potential chances that we passed up to add to the.
I think I agree. I tend to agree with Aidan. I think the Chris Sutton slide dig at Greg Taylor compared to Kieran Tierney was quite uncalled for. But could he have shot? Potentially. He's not really that type of player. I'm in no way surprised that he chose to cut it back. What I would say is, if he did a slight glance up, there wasn't anybody to cut it back to, so he should have shot at that point.
Have the courage of your
you see, that's not the type of player he is. He's pass first. You get those type of players. Unfortunately,
and I get what
Taylor and Aaron Moy are both pass first players, and that's exactly.
I get what they were trying to do, but they were in good positions. To me,
I actually think it was quite harsh on Moy as well, because when you've seen the replay, the guy, I think he shot. If he'd have shot, it would have been blocked. I think, but either way, it never panned out for either of the two of them.
I'll never have a pop at a player for not having a shot at goal when they're in that.
Well, if there's a pass on, which actually, when you look back at Kieran Tierney goal, he should have cut it back. He just happened to score. So, but people see what they want to see sometimes. I think. It was. As I say, I'll bring it again.
With me, there was no guilt-edged chances last night. Tony Hagger had given me my full Sunday name there, so he's clearly annoyed at me. My definition of guilt-edged chances and yours clearly differ, Frank. So fair enough. We'll agree to disagree on that.
Fair enough. I would say there was at least 2.
Correct.
Statistically, maybe 3. Yeah. Put it this way: when I go and do that data roundup, I'll probably be saying there was 2 or 3 mid to high quality chances. Put it that way.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Giakoumakis thing? Do you think it was still a good chance to me? I thought initially I thought he's got his body shape all wrong there, and then when you see it back, I think VAR should look at it, because I think Gordon Strachan got it right after it. You can't overestimate how grabbing an arm when you're in the motion of jumping can interrupt the way that you're doing it, and I think that's what happened there. So do you think VAR should have looked at it, guys?
Without a doubt, he is being impeded. it stopped him from scoring, which makes him look bad because he's missed a sitter. And I think VAR had every right to have a look at it, but again, maybe just typifies Celtic luck in this Champions League group stage. 4 matches so far, they didn't get the benefit of the doubt on that one, so you have to live with those decisions. It doesn't make it any more palatable. But
sorry, I just spotted that comment there. I think that's a Kyogo header. I don't think it was offside.
It was tight, but I don't think it was clearly offside.
If it had gone in, they've gone to VAR and would have seen whether it was on or off. I think it was marginal enough that you can't say explicitly that was definitely on or definitely off, but I thought it was on.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be counting it as like, it wouldn't have mattered if he'd scored, it would have been offside. I would still be counting that as like a really good opportunity.
I didn't think it was off when I saw it in real time. So my initial impression was that it was onside, so don't know if VAR would have looked at it had it gone in, but hey.
Sorry, I just saw, if we were still giving out comments of the day, this would be getting it for me.
Go on then.
Ian McGuigan, we should sign Mick Lynch. He's a better striker than others at the moment. Super.
I know that.
Love that. I'm here for that.
That suits your tendencies, doesn't it, Sean?
Just ever so slightly, aye. I think, is there any other, Tony, any other individuals that you want to mention? The subs in particular, maybe did Aaron Moy or James Forrest or David Turnbull or any of the other ones?
I think.
How did you think they
we
got on?
Spoke off air, and Aidan was questioning the triple prong substitutions at making great effects on the game, and he was not saying it as a criticism of the manager per se, but I think a lot of Celtic supporters it's something that's kind of getting on their goat a wee bit now, isn't it? That the whole kind of triple substitution after an hour, 65 minutes, and guys coming on and maybe not having the impact that you thought they would have. Last night, did Aaron Moy, David Turnbull, Giakoumakis had an impact because he was involved in a couple of things, wasn't he, and put himself about.
I thought Moy actually done all right.
Moy did
all right, and I've been quite critical of Moy, but the last couple of games when he's come on, he's actually tried to showcase a bit of his passing. I'm thinking that ball through for James Forrest against St Johnstone, unfairly called offside. He had a couple of decent passes last night, got his cell into a couple of good positions. I know we're saying, should he have shot? Was the pass the right option? That kind of thing, but still we popped up there. I thought James Forrest looked good again.
Forrest good when he came on for
really good ball into Giakoumakis.
I also thought Forrest was more willing to try and go at his opponent.
A shift in attitude, maybe.
Yeah, indeed. But Aidan, we were talking about that before we came on air, and you were saying about the validity of the 3 subs at any given time. I thought Turnbull didn't really add much to the mix. Moy did, and Giakoumakis did. I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, so in terms of like the 3 subs last night when they came on during that wee period, I did think David Turnbull was quite quiet. The only thing I can really remember him doing is that one near the end when they kind of chipped it into Giakoumakis, and it looked like he was in, but he just couldn't, square himself up properly. Aaron Moy, I know I did mention the kind of opportunity he had earlier on, but like Sean was saying, I thought he did kind of contribute, and he obviously had that one when he kind of clipped it into the box for Maida. He maybe could have done better. I know it was kind of on the volley. It was by no means a sitter, but that was probably an example of Moy being in a decent position to try and get a cross in. And I thought some of his passing was okay as well. Giakoumakis, we've always kind of touched on. I don't think I'd actually said it, but I think it probably should have went to VAR because he is kind of being pulled back. And like Sean, when I first seen it, I did think, what are you doing there? To be honest, he's getting his body shape all wrong. But yeah, I think that did affect him because we know how clinical he can be. He's getting ready to just throw himself at it, and the guy has a tug on his arm. I thought he did contribute as well, but just with the 3 subs, I feel sometimes it just kind of kills a bit of the momentum of the game. Now, I do know a lot of it could be down to fatigue as well, because the players are working hard, so some of them are going to be tired, and particularly in Haksavanovic's case, he's not fully fit yet. So I can totally understand why he's been taken off at that stage. I just think sometimes I don't know how effective the triple sub is. Obviously, I wouldn't know the particular kind of stats across the whole season in terms of how effective that is, because it's been employed a few times when those 3 players come on. And obviously subs are important as well. I mean, you've seen at the weekend, James McCarthy getting that kind of crucial flick into Bernabei to cross it in for the goal. So, but I just thought last night and then other times this season, particularly games when you've needed a goal, if you're getting beat or you're drawn, I just don't know how effective that kind of tactical change has been.
Tony Kieran 5491 saying triple sub definitely took the wind out of the sails last night. He reckons Hatate should have been hooked at half time and then maybe a double sub later. John McGlynn says, Sean, you are chasing rainbows, Shed 7, great band.
Chill pill, too many green specks on here. We were rotten. I can't speak. I can only speak for myself. I do have green specks. Can't speak for the other two. But there you go. So take out of that what you will, chill pill.
Can we talk, I suppose, the elephant in the room, which a few pundits have mentioned and we've kind of spoke about, and it's relevant to Aidan's triple sub thing, but 60 or so minute mark, the fatigue that seems to set in, the exhaustion, is that why he's making 3 subs? Is it to try and reinvigorate, try and keep that game plan at the same intensity? And more, I suppose, more to the point, Tony, do you think that is actually possible with 3 changes in the manner in which he makes them? Is it the level of the replacements? Is it just 3, for instance, in midfield that just doesn't make sense at that point? Or
the biggest surprise for me was on Saturday when he was asked the question about Jota, why he came off, and he said it was fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was asked the question the other day, and he said he still felt sore.
Mm-hmm.
I was quite, there was no clear definition of an injury to an extent, and I know players do get tired, and I get that, and I get that they're training at high intensity and they're playing at a high intensity, but there seems to be something about some of the Celtic players who give their all for 60, 65, 70 minutes, and, you know, I don't know, I wouldn't say they're burst, but they are maybe needing a rest. I don't know.
Champions League level, I certainly think you could say that they're gubbed because this gets back to the Alan Morrison column from last week that was mentioning that there's a stark difference between a game in the domestic football when you've got 60, 70% of the ball, and in the Champions League when you've maybe got 45 or even 55 because you're spending a lot more time pressing. And when Celtic don't have the ball, they're more often than not they are pressing. So I've no real problem with the notion of 60, 65 minutes, give absolutely everything, and then come off and we'll put somebody else on. I suppose it depends, one, who's coming off for who and the position in which they're going on, that kind of thing. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. I don't know if Champions League is maybe a bridge too far for doing it like that. Domestic football, I think is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would go along with that, but it is noticeable, isn't it? There's a real stark contrast. Aidan's spoken about that as well, about that 65, 70 minute mark where, you know, players are coming off and players are going on, and I don't know, does it interrupt the flow and the rhythm of the team? A lot of supporters are saying that it does with the triple substitution, and sometimes the guys coming on don't make the impact that the manager's hoping for or the team is hoping for. So Andrew Galea were knackered because we're chasing the game instead of controlling the ball. Again, there's merit in these arguments. He's telling the opposition, I've played my cards now, let's see what you've got for the last 25 minutes when he makes those 3 subs. I mean, I guess everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it is something that's noticeable, isn't it, Aidan?
Yeah, it is, and I think the reason he is doing it is because of fatigue, which I completely understand. Like I was saying when I just kind of picked out Haxaban, which is an example. I understand that when you've been pressing kind of so hard for 55, 60 minutes, you are going to be tired. So I kind of understand from that perspective why the changes are being made. I just don't know if the way it's been done is the most effective, but maybe a mix of it is the players coming on as well. I don't know, but like we kind of touched on, you know, 2 of the kind of 3 players that came on in that triple sub last night, they did contribute to an extent. So yeah, maybe it's just one of those ones. I mean, if Celtic had won, you know, 1-0 last night, wouldn't have been talking about the triple sub. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, you've just got to call it as it is in front of you.
Tony, what did you make Alexandro Bernabei kind of slightly further forward? Just out of curiosity, because I was quite intrigued when he came on and Taylor stayed on and he kind of played a wee bit ahead of him.
I think he did okay. I mean, nothing to write home about, but I guess he gave them some energy when it was needed, and I think he's against St Johnstone. Thought he did very well too, and he did all right last night. So I think he's learning clearly and knows that when he is given valuable game time that he has to make a contribution. And he made a telling contribution Saturday with the cross that led to the winner. His all-round game was good, so fine. And then he came on last night and and looked all right. Looked as if he could take the step up if required, moving forward in the future. So
difficult with Greg Taylor playing well.
Of course, of course. But,
I think that there's a couple of dissenting voices about that in the comments. I think Taylor did play well though. I might even try and break it down if I get the time later on the day. But
Taylor played excellently. I thought he had a brilliant first half, but in the second half he certainly
a couple
of slack balls to Jens and put Jens in trouble, and Jens just kind of launched him in the channels or just fired them directly out the park, and that's noticeable. You pick up on that, you create your own problems there, and I thought Taylor was guilty of that quite a few times at the start of the second half, and that affected his game for a 5-10 minute spell, and then he picked it up again.
No, I'd agree with that. I think it's excellent the first half. First 5 minutes of the second half, a couple of issues, and then I thought he was pretty all right again after that, pretty good. But what else? We've got a few.
The link up to my piece last.
I did, and I've put up your detailed ratings as well, Tony. They can go on and they can disagree with you on that. And
a Shakespeare theme to the other piece, if you're that way inclined. But you get what I mean when you read it. So I've checked that on the site.
I'm going to ask this, Tony, to you. I know it's not to come to you again, Aidan, but Tony picked him in his predicted 11. So Alan Robertson asked simply, why did Celtic sign Abelgard then?
Yeah, I did. I just think that he's a natural number 6, isn't he? To all intents and purposes, and I would like to have seen what he would have brought to the table last night, but the manager clearly didn't think he was fit enough or trusted him enough to put him in there in a game of that magnitude. We'll never know. As I say, I would love to have seen him in there to see what he could bring, but maybe now's the time to start bringing him in, because they do need to solve the Callum McGregor conundrum, don't they? And that's no slight on Matt O'Reilly, because I thought Matt O'Reilly was terrific last night. But I think Abelgard needs now to prove his fitness and to force his way into that team and show what he brings to the table.
Yep. Aidan, any further comments on either Abelgard's omission or team selection in general? You never done a predicted 11 this time. Me and Tony, I think I was 9 out of 11, you were 8 out of 11, Tony, is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
Aye.
I think in terms of Abelgard, it is a wee bit of a strange one. I mean, I'm guessing it's maybe match fitness, I don't know, but the fact he didn't start. He came on against Leipzig last week, and I thought he did okay. He did tire a bit, but you would expect that given his lack of minutes and his kind of lack of a proper pre-season before that, before he even signed. So I think it's been a wee bit surprising that he wasn't even on as a sub at some point. Then maybe as a wee bit more of a defensive player and you're going for the game, so it didn't really suit. But I'm surprised he didn't. I'm a bit surprised he didn't start, Sean, to be honest. And I know I didn't do a predicted lineup, but I think I probably would have had him in from the start if I was. So obviously, there's lots of games this season. He will be involved, but maybe it's just a fitness thing for all we know. Maybe just getting up to speed with the intensity of the training. It's taking some players that have came in under Ange a wee bit longer sometimes. Not everybody's going to just bust on at the scene like Kyogo, etc. did. So yeah, I'm sure they will come into it, and I'm still excited about him as a player.
Mahai's saying Abelgard's legs aren't there yet. It's very obvious. I don't know if it is obvious because you don't see him. So how would you know his legs are there unless you're going to training, I suppose. But he's had that kind of 3 minutes against Motherwell, which you can't read anything into. The Leipzig game last week, he faded later on in the game. Agreed, but I thought he'd done all right when he first came on, and then limited against St Johnstone.
Yeah.
So
lot of comments coming in about the 65, 70 minute mark. Noticeable that the 2 goals last night were scored after the 75th minute onwards. So they were
also. It depends what way you want to put it. But they were also scored after the subs came on. If you want to go down Aidan's route with the 3 subs, it depends in the context how the moves
Yeah,
played.
no.
I suppose, but
just saying
it's certainly something to consider.
People are commenting on it that saying that Celtic teams notice that Celtic can be got at in the last 20 minutes. That's something that might need to be addressed moving forward by the manager and the players as well. But it's just a point of note, isn't it? More than anything else, a point of interest.
Paul McClement saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Russian football play competitively during the summer? I take it that's in relation to Oliver Abelgard. But what I would say is he played, I think, was it 4 or 5 games for Rubin Kazan in April and at the start of May. And before that, hadn't played since December. So realistically, he's played 4 or 5 games since last year. So I think that's an acceptable caveat for maybe not quite being up to speed, maybe.
Yeah, potentially, yeah, of course. But we'll see how it all pans out. Anything else, guys, that came to your attention or spring to mind, or are you still, as Sean said, deflated by it all?
I suppose to answer the question in the tagline, I'll put this to you just simply: FSS show panel, have we progressed enough in Europe?
I say yes. I think Celtic are, you can't not go back to the fact that they were creating chances and they've gone toe to toe, not for 90 minutes in all the games against all the teams, but they've certainly had their high moments, and good moments in all of the games. Yeah, we're still sitting with 1 point out of 12, which is not a great return, but you can actually see that there's progress there. And I think this is the time and Ange Postecoglou said it himself, that to stick by it. And if Celtic are to become a regular Champions League team and a competitive team, then they're going to have to keep doing the same things, keep the same players, and hold on to the manager and stick by what he believes will be a winning formula. This was very much a steep learning curve, competing in the Champions League for the first time in a long time with a relatively new and young team. Now we keep the nucleus of that team together as well as the manager. Then, if we can win the title again and go straight into the Champions League, then hopefully we'll be able to improve at this point next year. And we're saying we see the signs of improvement. They are picking up points and they have to learn lessons. Yeah, and Jack Gallagher, we're competitive, but now we want to be more than competitive. We want to win football matches. We had that aim in the Champions League at the start of the campaign to win football matches in the group stages this year. Sadly, after 4, it hasn't panned out that way. But there are. I agree with you, Sean. There are signs of progress. Chasing rainbows or not, I'd rather chase the rainbow.
I think again, this narrative of Celtic having to take their chances. There's a reason everybody's saying that, and I feel as if there'll probably be some that will say, right, well, actually the chances weren't that good, blah blah blah. I disagree. I think if you're on form and you're being a wee bit more clinical, then mid to high quality chances are fine and they should be taking them and they should have scored more than what they have scored. So to me, that changes complexion of some of the games. If they do take a couple of them, even just 1 or 2 of them, then the game state changes. You're maybe winning rather than drawing, or you're drawing rather than losing, and it changes the mindset. It changes the way that the game plays out. Maybe you do have a wee bit more, what I said yesterday, the basketball thing, rest defense, where you're keeping the ball a wee bit more rather than necessarily going as forward because you can't score, that kind of thing. So I think it all ties in together, and it does come back to the chances.
Yeah, of course it does. Aidan?
Yeah, so I think there has been progression in Europe, both from when Ange first came in over that kind of whole time period, and even just from last season into this season. And I'll continue to have that thought even if Celtic don't make the Europa League and you don't have the European football after Christmas. We are competing in the Champions League, even though in previous years we've maybe at this stage we've maybe accrued more points or you've scored more goals. But as we've spoken about in previous examples on and off air, the amount of times you just aren't really in those games, it's maybe just a stroke of luck. We are carving out opportunities, and at times like Shakhtar away, we are dominating games, which I didn't know if we would ever see that as quickly. And obviously, after last night, particularly in the 2 Leipzig games overall, actually, it is disappointing the way it's kind of turned out. But I think there's been progression in Europe, and if you're able to continue that into next season and the manager's back again in the transfer market, then I'm hopeful that if we keep buying into Andrew's style, that it will click eventually.
Kaiser,
Tony,
he's on.
sorry,
I'm not going to go. So Kaiser's on. Thing with us, he'd rather chase the rainbow than sit crying in the rain. We're all getting wet, but he's seen bright colours. Well said, Tony. There you go.
Kieran again coming in saying Celtic fans trust in the process domestically. Smiley emoji. Celtic fans trust in the process in Europe. Raging emoji. I think I must admit, I think most Celtic fans, certainly Celtic fans I talk to, do have an understanding of where the team and the club are at under Ange, and there are allowances made for that. Obviously, there's the results caveat, but I think most get it so far. And as I say, I think there is shoots of some sort of progress, even if the results aren't there just now.
Indeed. Well, that's 45 minutes, gentlemen, that we've been waxing lyrical for. Well, maybe not waxing lyrical, but pouring over the post-mortem from last night. It's been a quick 45 minutes, let me tell you that, but doesn't change the fact that Celtic are out of the Champions League and fighting to save their Europa League skins. 2 wins would do it, Sean, but they have to go to the Bernabeu and do and one of them. Tall order.
And you could be there watching it. Some of you, one of you, two of you.
Exactly. But there you go. Subscribe to the Celtic Way. You could win an all expenses paid trip for 2 to Madrid to watch Celtic play in the Bernabeu against Real Madrid. If you're already a subscriber, you'll have had the forum. Fill in the forum and you're entered in that draw, courtesy of the Celtic Way and Travel Bank Holidays. It's the best ever subscription deal. And if you're not a subscriber, then subscribe. It's cost £6 for 6 months. All you need to do is hit the subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, and you'll get the forum. And all you need to do is fill that in, and you'll be entered into the draw to win a fabulous prize. Could all hinge in that game, Sean. Celtic beat Shakhtar. And
European football after New Year.
Football after Christmas could hinge in that. But you know what to do. Just hit that button. Full access to everything that we write on the website and the pod. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. All that remains for me to say is thank you to everybody in the comments. I know it's deflating, but you have to move on. Take it in the chin. It is what it is. We move on, Sean, don't we?
We certainly do. And we'll be back again tomorrow, maybe a wee bit more cheery.
Upbeat and
once
brighter.
I've had another sleep.
Indeed. Thank you to Sean for his contribution first class, and thanks also to Aidan, cold and hard Aidan, as he was known. There you go. But excellent, Aidan. Thanks for your contribution as well. Loved it. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday if you can. We'll reconvene tomorrow. Same time, same bat channel. All the best.
Cheers, Tony. Cheers, Aidan. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.